because, Your Honor, I object to
What
the
do
fact
you
that
not
it's calling it
understand?
a no
Sir,
RV.
your objections mean shit to me. So you keep saying, I object, I object, I object. I don't care. I don't care what you're objecting to. I'm going to hold you in contempt the next time you cut her off.
Well, I do object to the setting aside of my motion, Your Honor.
I'm not setting aside your motion. I'm denying your motion.
Well, denying. I object to the
You
denying.
can't object. You can appeal. Brother, why'd you just waste 5 minutes of my life?
All right, guys. Today we've got a sovereign citizen who thinks they can outsmart a judge with their made-up nonsense. And let me just tell you, this judge is not here for IT no BS. No games. Just facts. Watching this guy try to argue with actual laws while the judge just calmly shuts him down is pure gold. Honestly, I love how this judge handles it. It's like a masterclass in patience and logic. I just don't understand why these sovereign citizens always think they're above the law when the law literally doesn't care about their fantasy rules. Let me know in the comments, do you think the judge nailed it? Or could he have done even more to put this guy in his place? Let's go ahead and dive in.
You got a motion filed?
Yeah, oh yes, absolutely. I actually have issues to discuss before I cross.
But the court reporter needs to pick you up.
Here, you don't have to be at the podium, but at least have a seat at that table where that microphone is.
Threats, coercion, and I'm under duress. I'll cross.
You're under duress. How are you under duress?
Well, Your Honor, as stated in my motion, there's actually fraudulent word of since unsigned by a judge. I have lawsuits filed on all of this stuff right now, which I know that they received.
Hold on, brother. Wait. I'm just asking you to have a seat at the chair where the microphone is.
Oh, I understand that. I'll do it. Okay. The final check.
That's fine. Just make sure you talk to the microphone.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, you can sit down. Okay. So I think this is your motion to dismiss, right?
Yeah, I have a few in there that I've been repeatedly trying to be dismissed.
Which one do you want to start with first?
Well, the recent one I filed, the motion to reject the swearing in and all that, based off the fact that, like I said, I was sent a default motion that I don't know how it even got sent out past the day, but it was never signed or anything. I was also defaulted out the fact that there was a citation that never even presented a court appearance.
Okay, hold on. You're giving me too many issues. You're talking about swearing in. You're talking about a default judgment. Just pick one issue. We're going to deal with them one at a time. So what do you want to deal with first?
Well, my main motion. Well, yeah, the default.
Okay, so was that on the civil infraction, failed to disclose the CPL?
I suppose that's what it was under, yes.
Okay, don't suppose, it's your motion, brother. Tell me what it is.
Well, it keeps getting set
that's the only
aside,
civil
I
infraction.
have numerous, I have lots of stuff.
Hold on, that's the only civil infraction I see with your name on it. So I'm just confirming that we're talking about that charge.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do you know why the default was entered? Did you miss a deadline? Did you
I was notified. I was called by people that I know within Huron and the police chief stating that I had a missed appearance date. I never had an appearance date scheduled, but I went back looking at the citation. There was no date. And actually how fast it got issued raises real concerns to me. And then once I received the default in the order.
Hold on. Let's take one thing at a time. So you said you never got an appearance date.
Correct.
Do you have a copy of the ticket? Because I've got a copy.
Yeah, I said it's in there. It's attached to my motions.
Okay, do you have a copy of the ticket?
I do.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you to look at that copy of the ticket, because my copy of your ticket says contact court for appearance date.
It says contact court for appearance date where it says appearance date on or before. There's nothing.
Okay, but it says contact court for appearance date. That means the monkey's on your back to contact us.
I will also on the bottom of the tickets it says if you fail to contact court within the specified amount of time. There was no specified amount of time on here. I had no idea what I was supposed to contact court. I was dealing with trying to get my attorney.
Let me ask you this. Did you contact the court?
I was again, as I said, I had no sort of any time frame to contact the court.
Mr. Crucell, this is going to go a lot easier on everybody if you just answer the question I asked. I'm going to give you plenty of chance to give me any argument you want to give. Okay? So don't feel that you have to force your argument into every question I ask. The question was, did you contact the court?
Well, Your Honor, I would have contacted the court if I had a specified.
That's a yes or no. So I'm going to take that as a no. You didn't contact the court. So after 14 days on a civil infraction, if we don't hear from the defendant, we enter default.
It was less than that actually when I was defaulted, Your Honor.
Less than that from what?
From whatever this was issued. And like I said, I was contacting.
Well, once again, I'm going to draw your attention to the ticket.
This dude seriously cannot shut up. Can he? Like, the judge just made such a solid point. And instead of letting it sink in, this guy just keeps running his mouth. I don't get why these sovereign citizen types feel the need to argue with literally every single question the judge asks. It is not rocket science. The judge is just trying to figure out whether this guy intentionally skipped his court date or if he genuinely didn't know about it. But no, instead of answering like a normal person, he's out here acting like he's above it all. Like, Does this sovereign citizen even realize he's digging his own grave? I can't tell if these people have no idea what's going on or if they genuinely think they're the smartest person in the room. I really can't tell sometimes. But let's dive back in.
My ticket, which I think is the same one you got, is dated February 3rd.
Correct.
Okay, so that's when it was issued, February 3rd.
Correct.
So when was the default? When did you get notice of a default?
Where is that? Actually, I received, I'm sorry, I know I got the thing in the mail. When did I get this? This says that, I don't even think it specifies the date.
Well, did you make a note when you received it?
This told me, this said I had I don't remember exactly what date I received this in the
Okay.
mail, but this was scheduled for March 8th.
Okay.
So that was even less than a
But what is that that's scheduled?
This says it was for my order, the motion affidavit saying that I was defaulted and saying I needed to pay bond and an orange warrant would be issued. And I said,
Okay.
again, that was never.
And that's dated what?
This was dated 3/8. That I needed to appear
Okay.
on or before 3/8.
Okay, so that was March 8th. You were defaulted February 22nd.
Okay. Which then, again, there was no dates. I had no nothing. I had no
Okay.
notice
Well,
of any
well,
sort of.
Once again,
appearance.
you're not hearing what I'm telling you. The monkey was on your back. The ticket clearly said you contact us. You never did.
And it also specifies right here, if you fail to appear by the date specified, and then on the bottom one, even for the other one, if you fail to answer a citation by date specified, there was no dates.
Okay,
There was no dates.
okay. Do you have anything to add?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Crusoe brought this up when we were in front of the Honorable Judge Martin. She did set aside the default in the civil infraction, irregardless of whether or not he showed up.
Which I object to the setting
Sir, do
aside.
not interrupt the lady. Did she interrupt you?
No,
Then don't do that. Let's be civil. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Green, Mr. Crusoe did bring it up again with the Honorable Judge Green, and she declined or denied his motion based on the fact that it was moot because the Judge Martin set it aside.
So the default already been set aside.
Yes,
Brother, why'd you just waste 5 minutes of my life?
since March 14th, Your Honor.
which I object to that because there's.
You object to your motion being
No, I
granted?
object to them setting aside my motion.
This dude literally got exactly what he asked for at his last hearing. And now he's acting like he has no idea what's going on. Judge Martin, his old judge, actually went out of his way to set aside this guy's default because he filed a motion asking for it. Like, the court gave him exactly what he wanted, and now he's strolling in here all confused about his default date, as if it's someone else's fault. These sovereign citizen types kill me, man. They have no respect for the court, no respect for the process, and no respect for the taxpayers who foot the bill for all this nonsense to DO. They even realize how much time and money they waste dragging these cases out with their made-up rules. What do you guys think about this guy so far? Should judges even entertain these types of people? Or should they just start handing out jail sentences whenever they bring up this BS script stuff?
And I object to this.
No. Wait. Listen. She tells me Judge Martin set aside the default based on your motion.
Yes, but I was never told any of that prior to any of that.
So you want to argue about the fact that you got what you asked for?
No, what I'm saying is the fact that the due process was violated is what happened in this whole problem. When I was defaulted, due process was violated.
So what? She set it aside.
Listen, okay, it was set aside to cause damages to me because of what happened with the default.
Well, explain to me how you were damaged.
First off, there's threats made against me, right? Clearly, he's threatening me to issue
No.
warrants,
I didn't ask you
threatening to
about
pay
threats.
money.
I said, how were you? You said you were damaged. I'm asking you, what was the damage?
The fact that I was threatened to come in and pay money or warrants. would
How
be
was that
issued for my
damage?
arrest. And I was being threatened by Huron Police, which I have on record.
What's the damage?
What do you mean? The fact that I had to come in and pay money, or I would have been, there'd been issued.
What money
warrants.
did you pay?
Huh?
What money did you pay?
$280. I had the receipt and everything. It was all attached to my motions. They just keep trying to set it aside. And Judge Green never said a word to me
Stop.
about any of that.
It's been set aside. Counsel just said, Judge Martin set aside the default. So what that means is procedurally, it's like it's a brand new file. Understood?
Yeah, but that's but that, especially now with the new Chevron overlay, that's just saying that she's just trying to set it aside, that there's no issues. with
She
the
didn't try to
court.
set it aside, she sat it
But she
aside.
can't. She can't just set my rights aside.
She's not setting your rights aside, she set a default aside because you asked her to.
Well, so if it's set aside, then the money should be returned, correct?
Well, I don't know, did she address the money?
I don't
No, she never did. No one did. It's
Sir?
written in my motions.
Sir, I'm gonna hold you in contempt the next time you cut her off.
There it is. That's the type of judge we need to take on these fools. Seriously though, looking back at that clip, to be fair, it was kind of tough for the sovereign citizen to tell if the judge was talking to him. But come on, no matter how you slice it, this guy is just such a tool. His arguments are all over the place, and I really wish we could see his clown face while he tries to make these ridiculous points. Even if he wasn't sure whether the judge was addressing him or not, he just needs to shut his mouth or get a lawyer, because his arguments make absolutely no sense. Like, if someone has any logical explanation for what this dude is trying to argue, I'd love to hear it. I try to base everything on the law, and I really don't want to fall too far down the rabbit hole with these idiots. At least the judge shut him up this time. Let's go ahead and dive back in to see if this idiot tries to interrupt again.
The first contempt, $100. The second contempt, a day in jail. Are we clear on the ground rules for my courtroom? Is that a yes for the
Yes, Your
record?
Honor.
Okay. I'm giving you all the time you need to talk. Don't talk over her.
Okay, I understand. I'm sorry. There's just been a lot that's been going on with this.
And I'm the first time I'm seeing it, so I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
You're right.
All right. So we started with what motion do you want to talk about first? You said your motion to set aside the default. That was granted by Judge Martin, is what I'm hearing from the prosecutor. So that motion's done. Would you agree?
As long as my money gets returned, then I guess it's taken
At
care
some
of.
point, trust me, your money will either get applied or returned. Next motion you want to talk about.
The dismissal based off of fundamental violations of my fundamental rights and due process.
Okay, well, tell me more.
Okay.
You have, hold on, let me just cut to the chase. You have more than just the fact that you think you have a right to travel.
Yes, Your Honor. Actually,
That's denied. I'll just cut to the chase. That's denied. I don't buy into that argument. Now, you can appeal that decision to the circuit court. You understand how that works? District court decisions, you can appeal.
absolutely.
Okay, hold on. I denied that motion. We're not going to talk about that motion because I've denied it based on your argument that you have a right to travel and don't need a license. Is there anything else you want to hang your hat on for dismissal?
Well, I do object to the setting aside of my motion, Your Honor.
I'm not setting aside your motion. I'm denying your motion.
Well, denying, I object to the
You
denying.
can't
of my motion.
object. You can appeal.
But I'm just
Okay.
letting you know, I'm stating for the record that I am objecting to your denial of my appeal.
That's fine.
Okay.
Circuit court judges have bills to pay too, right? So you appeal me to the circuit court. Do you have any other argument why these cases should be dismissed?
Yes, absolutely. Well, honest, Your Honor, like I said, I even have both lawsuits. They've received my lawsuits to the Huron Township Police Department overall.
Hold on. I don't know anything about lawsuit. How would you suing the township work as a reason to dismiss these charges?
Because the initial traffic stop and everything was an unlawful stop from the get. I was
Okay, but that's got
retaliating.
nothing to do with your lawsuit. That might be the basis of your lawsuit. So you want to talk about whether or not there was a valid reason for a
Yeah,
stop?
absolutely.
Then make the argument.
Yeah, Your Honor, so prior to me being pulled over by this officer, I was actually in contact with several law enforcement officers that are friends, and actually two that are currently working within Huron that had confirmed I had every lawful right to be doing what I was doing. The one even pulled up to me and my wife at a gas station in town, and we are in Sibley and Middlebelt, right near actually where I got pulled over, and we had discussed it and talked about it and went on about our day, and this was all prior to this incident. I had two other interactions with this officer where I had specifically told him, I've already been confirmed and doing lawful, I'm well within my lawful rights. I have it documented. You need to go talk to the sergeant that I've been talking to and a couple other buddies, right? I gave him that opportunity. It was shortly after that. And I had that confirmation well prior to me even being pulled over. Okay. So then, this officer seen me leaving my house, pulling off my dead end dirt road, proceeded. Like I said, I even told him, I've already had this, I've already
Right.
addressed this. You need to go talk to the sergeant.
Right.
Chose not to. Pulled me over, walked up, just started demanding ID and everything from me, and wouldn't identify himself, none of that good stuff. And then now this is where it's all led to. And I informed him, I have body cams, I have my own recording. And like I said, I have a lot.
Okay, but you started out by saying you wanted this dismissed because there was not probable cause for the stop,
Correct.
okay? And then you went on to tell me how there was obviously a difference in opinion within the department about whether or not what you were doing was legal or not.
Well, I
Is that
specifically
a fair
stated.
summation?
What was that?
Is that a fair summation of what you just said? Some of the officers that you talked to said you could do that, and obviously the officer that wrote you the ticket didn't think you could.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a difference of opinion there, which has very little, if anything, to do with the probable cause for the stop.
To be fair, this guy's argument wasn't too bad compared to the usual sovereign citizen nonsense we see. You know, all that jurisdiction BS. This guy is actually claiming that some officers told him it was okay to drive, but the one who gave him the ticket said he was in the wrong. Honestly, that's not the worst argument we've ever heard from these sovereign citizens, I mean. Usually, they start ranting about jurisdiction, flesh and blood nonsense, and all that other BSSO, in a weird way. This is kind of a breath of fresh air, at least there's a little bit of common sense here, emphasis on a little. Most of the time, we're working with about 2 brain cells when it comes to these guys, but today, there might be 4 or 5, so hey, big progress. Now, I can kind of see how he might be confused, but let's be real, he's definitely playing dumb here. Legally, the probable cause for the ticket was completely valid. If you're carrying, you have to disclose your corporal. You also need a valid driver's license. Simple as that. So, are you guys buying this story? Because in my honest opinion, I don't believe a single word this guy says. Let's go ahead and dive back in.